Nintendo, one of the biggest names in gaming since the beginning of consoles. They've produced some of the most respected classics, the most prominent gaming characters, the most enduring franchises, the most influential games, and all around some of the most enjoyable gaming experiences. And as time went on, Nintendo continued to build on their beloved properties, more and more and more, keeping themselves a serious competitor in the gaming space through present day. Now, when you buy one of the big Nintendo titles, you know you'll be getting a certain level of quality. Nintendo's biggest games have been so successful because of the way Nintendo have treated them with such respect. But do they treat their fans with the same level of respect? Look any deeper into gamers' perception of Nintendo other than the quality of the games they produce, and you're bound to find some unhappy customers. As gaming has evolved with online sharing, communities popping up, and modding, Nintendo has become known for holding on to their intellectual properties with too tight of a fist. Fan projects being struck down, community events being cancelled, and abuse of YouTube's copyright system have become synonymous with Nintendo's name at this point. And with the most recent round of Nintendo copyright claims on YouTube, I thought I'd take a look back at Nintendo and their tendency to take down content made by their fans. Back in the beginning of YouTube, the copyright system wasn't really figured out. As it became a more and more popular platform, and a way for video creators to earn money, more and more rules would be put in place in an attempt to block videos from accounts that were posting copyrighted material wholesale without any original contribution. In late 2013, YouTube implemented some of these new rules, and gaming content creators were hit with a wave of copyright claims on their videos. A lot of the time, claims weren't coming from legitimate gaming companies, and those legitimate gaming companies were upset about the situation. They wanted creators to be able to share their game content on the web without the video being claimed by some obscure company who owned the rights to a song that played for 2 seconds of the video. Capcom would take to Twitter to say that they were investigating these claims that were not instigated by them. A Deep Silver spokesperson would be quoted saying, "We definitely don't want YouTubers to have to deal with this. We aren't really sure where these claims are coming from, but we never want to block YouTubers from having fun with any of our games. We've already been looking into what we can do for the past day since the first went down, and we'll be getting together tomorrow first thing in the morning to try and unravel it some more to find ways to help." However, one of the biggest gaming companies was not taking the side of content creators, instead issuing out copious amounts of copyright claims to YouTube videos, and that gaming company was none other than Nintendo. Creators were seeing claims from Nintendo oftentimes referencing the music of the games. If a video was claimed by Nintendo, that video would be bookended by ads, and any of the revenue from that video would go to Nintendo. Nintendo issued the following statement: "As part of our ongoing push to ensure Nintendo content is shared across social media channels in an appropriate and safe way, we became a YouTube partner, and as such, in February 2013, we registered our copyright content in the YouTube database. For most fan videos, this will not result in any changes. However, for those videos featuring Nintendo-owned content, such as images or audio of a certain length, adverts will now appear at the beginning, next to, or at the end of the clips. We continually want our fans to enjoy sharing Nintendo content on YouTube, and that is why, unlike other entertainment companies, we have chosen not to block people using our intellectual property." Obviously, this did not go over well with the gaming community. While it makes sense for a company to be able to claim a video from an account posting a movie or reposting trailers, video game content is so often transformed significantly by the creator playing it. There were other companies at this time, like Microsoft, that would claim videos with their video games, but most companies would quickly realize that this sort of content was here to stay and adjusted accordingly. Not Nintendo though. For the next year or so, it seemed like most of the time you would hear about copyright drama on YouTube, Nintendo was often the antagonist in the story. Nintendo was aware of the dissatisfaction of the YouTube gaming community, and so in 2015 they announced the Nintendo Affiliate Program, which would also become known as the Nintendo Creators Program. This program would allow affiliate creators to post content with Nintendo-related products to YouTube. The catch was, the content had to be approved. You could only use content from a specified list of games, and the revenue from the video would be split between Nintendo, Google, and the creator. At first, the program may have seemed successful. It was overloaded with affiliate requests, and people were put on wait lists. Although overall reception from most people was obviously negative. Why does Nintendo deserve an extra share of the content creators' revenue when PlayStation and Xbox were both touting features on the PS4 and Xbox One, making it easier to share gameplay online from their consoles with just the push of a button on the controller? Even though Nintendo was attempting to make it possible for content creators to make content using Nintendo games, many creators just stuck to non-Nintendo titles. Even with the Nintendo Creators Program, you were basically taking a pay cut and still ran the risk of the video not being approved after spending the time to make it. The risk outweighed the reward for many creators, and the Nintendo Creators Program would end up being a blemish on Nintendo's reputation, coming off as the company trying to make up for revenue losses with the abysmal launch of the Wii U. Finally, at the end of 2018, Nintendo ended the affiliate program, and still today we hear stories of Nintendo abusing the copyright system on YouTube. Like recently, when Nintendo started taking down Breath of the Wild videos and issuing strikes on YouTubers like Point Crow. Videos aren't the only fan content being claimed or taken down by Nintendo. They've become infamous for ending fan games. It is interesting to mention, though, that Mario Fan Games Galaxy, a site that hosts Mario fan games, has explained that the percent of games taken down by Nintendo is extremely small, and that you only risk getting your game taken down if the game is a remake of an existing Nintendo game. But if you look at some of the examples of what Nintendo has DMCA'd, it does not seem like all of them are necessarily remakes of existing games. For example, Mario 64 games made by K's and Manuar, like Last Impact, don't seem to be classifiable as a remake of Mario 64. Nintendo has DMCA'd 3 of K's Mario games, but he continues to make them. For Pokemon fan games, Nintendo seems to be a little more strict than with Mario games. 2 notable takedowns was PokeNet, which would let players travel to every region from the Pokemon series, as well as let players interact in real time, and Pokemon Uranium. This was a game made with entirely original assets and Pokemon. Another reason these fan game takedowns leave a bad taste in gamers' mouths is that there's speculation that Nintendo will take ideas from these games that they take down and sell them themselves. Full Screen Mario, a game that upgraded the original Super Mario Bros. And let players play in the browser. This game would let players choose from any of the levels from the start, and also allowed players to build their own stages. This game garnered a huge amount of attention from Mario fans and was taken down by Nintendo 1 month after release. This game was released a year before Nintendo announced Super Mario Maker for the Wii U. In 2019, a YouTuber named Inferno Plus created Mario Royale, which started as a joke due to the oversaturation of Battle Royale games at the time. This game had 99 players playing Super Mario Bros. Stages all at the same time, competing for the first, second, or third place. Nintendo hit the game with a DMCA, so the creator changed the game to DMCA Royale, starring the character Infringio. But that wasn't good enough, and it still was taken down. This was over a year before Nintendo would announce Mario 35, which was basically the same idea. AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, was released in 2016 by Dr. M64 after years of work. This remake of Metroid 2 attempted to improve on the original with all new assets, new bosses, and new features not included in the original game. Nintendo struck the game down and then released their own remake, Metroid Samus Returns, for the 3DS in September of 2017. Obviously, game development takes a long time, and we don't know if Nintendo had these ideas before taking down these fan games, but it's hard not to believe the conspiracy at least a little bit. And then of course, there's the Smash tournament controversies. If you've heard anything about Melee tournaments, you've probably heard about Nintendo trying to shut them down. One of the earliest examples I could find was back in 2013. This was following a community-driven donation drive where the winner could pick a game to enter in EVO 2013, and Smash was chosen. EVO was apparently contacted by Nintendo, who requested not only that the live stream of their game not happen, but that Melee not be played at the event at all. Nintendo ended up going back on their decision after online outcry, but would serve as a glimpse of what would come in the future. Melee was developed in only a year, and as a result, not all of the bugs and balancing could be ironed out by the developers before release of the game. But this also meant that Melee turned out to be a very fast-paced game with a very high skill ceiling. And then in 2008, Brawl was released. It was a much slower game, with less focus on combos, and a very unbalanced roster, so most players would stick to Melee. But then in 2011, a demo for a mod called Project M was released. It was meant to make Brawl more technical and competitive like Melee. It removed random tripping, increased hit stun, put in wave dashing, and made combos viable. It made Brawl what Smash fans had hoped it would be. Around 2015, Nintendo was considering doing a professional esport tour with Brawl and Melee. Nintendo was in talks with multiple tournament organizers, but apparently would be extremely slow to respond, drawing out the process for years. Nintendo made it clear that use of the Project M mod would not be allowed at tournaments, and so many tournament organizers dropped having that game in hopes that Nintendo would respond to them and plan an official event with them. Nintendo would drag out the process for 3 years and ended up never responding and dropping the idea altogether with the release of Infinite. Nintendo would continue to shut down many unofficial Smash tournaments, and then, in 2022, was one of the biggest dramatic shutdowns, the Smash World Tour. In 2021, Nintendo was officially partnering up with Panda to put on high-level Smash tournaments. This was the first time that Nintendo was going to officially participate in these Smash tournaments, so people were excited. Smash World Tour was a major Smash tournament that had been going on for a while, with finals planned to be held December 9th of 2022. And then, the day before Thanksgiving of that year, the tournament organizers were told to shut it down by Nintendo. This was after organizers had previously received an unofficial go-ahead from Nintendo. Players and fans in the tournament had already purchased airfare and made travel plans, and the organizers of the tournament said they were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars and went on to cancel future in-person Smash events. The belief is that the takedown of this event was due to partnerships with Panda wanting to eliminate competition. So it begs the question of why Nintendo would do all of this, growing a negative reputation and angering a lot of their fans. Well, there's some obvious reasons, like for fan games that they think they could lose out on profit from if people play that game instead of their game. But I think the big one is that Nintendo wants to have complete control over their brand image. Nintendo mostly appeals to a younger audience, and when little Timmy asks his mom to buy the next Mario game, Nintendo doesn't want Mrs. Timmy's mom to have any reservations about buying that game. Nintendo is making games, movies, theme parks, and they want their brand to be as marketable as possible to everyone. Let's face it, us gamers are a little horny, and we'll make some pretty wild mods. Nintendo doesn't want some kid's mom accidentally stumbling on something like this and then not buying the game for their kid. Smash tournaments can see some pretty wild behavior that Nintendo probably doesn't want associated with their name. I think they take this approach of tightly guarding their brands because they believe it will lead to increased sales in the long run, even if it does anger some fans. Do you really know a lot of people that have stopped buying Nintendo products even if they were upset at them taking down a Smash tournament? I mean, this game's looking pretty fun.